Hey man, welcome to what was supposed to be race number 6, but instead it was race number 3. It's night number 5 because we just completely threw out Grandview last night. We are at the Speed Palace, Port Royal Speedway, one of the best racetracks on the planet, my favorite dirt track, and great racing was part of the plan tonight. We had 42 cars show up for this event on the Wednesday night. 2 time trials flights. We saw Chase Dietz fastest in the first group over Ryan Smith, Justin Whittle, Jeff Halligan, and Lucas Wolf. And then in the second group, we saw Kyle Larson fastest over Brock Zierfoss, Anthony Macri, Lance DeWeese, and Cody Hartlob. Heat race number 1 saw Justin Whittle on the pole, and he took the early lead. On the end of the second lap, we saw Robbie Kendall hit the outside of the turn 4 area, hit the wall, and flipped violently onto the front stretch. He ended up okay, but that was a red flag to the first heat race. Off of the restart, the fast timer Chase Dietz got himself up to second place, and at that point then, the track started coming apart a little bit. They had worked it in, and the sun was out, and it was hot during the day, so the track was coming up in clumps. Chase Dietz was the only person trying to run up to the top. Everybody else was just trying to avoid the melee. Justin Whittle won that heat race over Chase Dietz, Lucas Wolf, TJ Stutz, and AJ Flick. In heat race number 2, we saw Jeff Halligan and Devin Adams on the front row. Jeff Halligan got a bad start, and Ryan Smith, who is super fast and had started 4th because of the way they bring back the fastest qualifier. He got up there, and on the second lap, he took the lead. This heat race was spread out pretty bad, and the track was still a mess, so there wasn't really much going on except for one last lap pass on Jeff Halligan to get into the feature by Austin Bishop. So Ryan Smith won the heat race over Devin Adams, Mike Walter, Cameron Smith, and Austin Bishop. In heat race number 3, we saw Anthony Macri and Cody Hartlob on the front row. Anthony Macri jumped the initial start, but it didn't matter because off of the actual second attempt, he took the lead pretty stubbornly. Kyle Larson quickly got himself to second and was able to make some ground, but there was a point where he kind of stalled out and he wasn't able to get any faster to catch up to Anthony Macri. So there was some battles for transfer positions going on behind him, and then even a lapped car getting into the mix that Anthony Macri had to avoid. But at the end of it, Anthony Macri won heat race number 3 over Kyle Larson, Steve Buckwalter, Cody Hartlob, and Ryan Newton. Oh, I almost said Ryan Newman. He got the final transfer. Heat race number 4 saw Lance DeWeese and the Shearer number 12 on the pole, and they called off the first start again. Mike Wagner had a dragging brake at the start, so it got a little bit hot under his tush, and that ended up getting fixed, but it was a stacked heat race. There was a bunch of action all around. Second place, 4th place, battles even backwards. So it was fun at the start, but then by the halfway point and onwards, it kind of spread out at the end. Lance DeWeese won the heat race over Logan Wagner, Danny Dietrich, Brock Zierfoss, and Mike Wagner. Into the B main, we saw Jeff Halligan and Troy Wagaman onto the front row on lap number 2. Jake Karklin with a strong charge comes up and takes the final transfer position from Billy Dietrich, who would end up pulling off the track later in the B main. The top 4 at that point there pulled away pretty easily, and there really was never any contention for those transfer positions. Troy Wagaman won the B main over Jeff Halligan, Freddie Raymer, and Jake Karklin. And that brings us to the 25-lap A main feature for tonight. Kyle Larson drew the pole. Anthony Macri drew second place, so it was a Larson-Macri front row, and that is bad for everybody else. That's unfortunate. Anthony Macri fought hard and managed to slide Kyle Larson in turn 2 right off of the first lap there. So he came into turn 3, slid him, and got into the race lead because he had a momentum off turn 2. 2 laps into the race, we saw Devin Adams spin from 7th place, no damage for him, but we also saw Brock Zierfoss pulled into the work area for some reason, I don't know why, during that yellow as well. Off the restart, Anthony Macri ran off with the lead. There were 2 good lanes of racing at this point, so there was a lot moving around throughout the field. 7 laps in was when we saw Anthony Macri hit lap traffic. Macri and Larson really started moving around with the lap traffic, and Macri got pretty desperate to get around people, and then Kyle Larson also got very desperate to keep up with Macri, so it was fun to watch those 2 get really aggressive with the lap traffic. Chase Dietz and Danny Dietrich were slowly moving up through the field as well and starting to pick off and move forward. On lap number 18, so we've moved pretty far into this where nothing really else happened here, and we had a yellow. Kyle Larson spun by himself on the exit of turn number 2. Macri pulled away even more off of the restart from that yellow, and Chase Dietz had a great restart there as well, getting himself into the top 3. Moving a couple laps forward on lap 23, we saw Brock Zierfoss get into the turn 3 and 4 wall, kind of brought his right rear up, and then it sucked him in, and he ended up flipping. He was okay. There's a fair amount of damage to the Eichelberger car. Macri, coming through the corner at that point in time, had to spin to avoid him. He didn't get a penalty for that, but it was kind of scary when you see all of a sudden your race leader spinning as well. There was a restart from there, and Justin Whittle was in second, got a bad restart, and then there was a nice little battle for second place. Danny Dietrich stopped on the backstretch. He ran out of fuel at that point, so then we had a yellow again. Larson had at this point moved all the way up to fourth, and then off of the restart from that yellow, got himself into third, and then second one lap after that. Larson almost got Macri. He slid him into turn 3 and was going to make the pass, although Macri probably was going to be able to get him back, when Ryan Newton and Justin Whittle both simultaneously stopped on the track, assuming both of those were also fuel, because with all the yellows and the yellow time, we had really run pretty dry on fuel. Caused an open red flag. Macri's crew was using a sander on the right rear tire, and all of the Larson fanboys that I was sitting sort of in proximity to were all yelling and screaming and calling him a cheater. That was fun. There was a restart from there with 4 laps to go. Anthony Macri got the lead, and Chase Dietz hustled to catch up to him and Larson. Ended up hustling with Larson a little bit, and that kind of brought Larson back from Macri, and then Macri was able to take it the whole way. So Anthony Macri won tonight over Kyle Larson, Chase Dietz, Ryan Smith, and Logan Wagner. The rest of your top 10 here on the screen right now, and that's the show from Port Royal. Here, moving into the points standings as they are. Your top 10s on the screen right here. Credit to Matt Faust for bringing those to us throughout the week. He's doing the HQ work to keep those tallies for us. So that's the end of Port Royal. Fun. We're going to come back here in a few days and do it all over again. It's going to be a good time. So tomorrow night's supposed to be Hagerstown. I don't think we got any weather to worry about, knock on wood, real quick, that doesn't happen. We're going to be celebrating Pennsylvania Speedweek in Maryland, but it's actually like my favorite race of the week. So anyway, thank you for your continued support. I want to make a shout out. I saw Caleb Newlin here, and I met Henry, fan of our channel, here at the track, and that was really cool. So thank you guys for coming in, and I'm gonna give you all a shout out for supporting this whole ordeal, all this nonsense. And yeah, I love meeting you guys. If you see me coming around, I probably sometimes I look like I'm being really serious, but I promise, in my head, it's the SpongeBob theme song. It's nothing serious. So you should come catch me if you see me. But thank you for the continued support. We'll see you at Hagerstown next time.